Today, we're going to take a look at 5 performances that should have been nominated or even outright win the Oscar for a horror performance. Some of these have been deemed some of the greatest ever put on screen, so this is my top 5. Let's get into it. Anthony Perkins, Psycho. Should have not only been nominated, but should have won the award. Along with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, Perkins as Norman Bates is one of the greatest portrayals in all of cinema. Before Psycho, horror villains were creatures or monsters, but Perkins changed everything when he portrayed Norman Bates. He made horror intimate. He made it actually feel safe, and above all, he made it human. Norman appears as a polite, awkward, and at some points a charming young man. When he's speaking with Janet Leigh, there's a warmth to him that just makes you want to trust him, and that is exactly what makes this performance so unsettling. Perkins isn't playing Norman as a cartoon madman. He's not trying to copy Vincent Price or be Christopher Lee as Dracula. He's playing him as a damaged person, hiding in plain sight. That layered humanity is what makes the character timeless. Yes, other horror movies of the time were just cheap jump scares and parlor tricks, but Psycho changed that up until the reveal, when we've seen Norman as this kind man who he would do anything for his mother and help anyone who comes to him. Then, when the truth is revealed, the entire performance transforms into hindsight. Every line, every glance, every hesitation that he does suddenly means something darker. It's one of the most iconic performances in cinema history, not just horror. And the fact he wasn't even recognized with an Oscar nomination, that is just criminal. Mia Goth, Pearl. Few modern horror performances have exploded onto the screen quite like Mia Goth as Pearl. This wasn't just another villain origin story, it was a full psychological descent into loneliness, repression, jealousy, and absolute madness. Mia plays Pearl as someone who is desperate to be loved, desperate to be seen by the world, and slowly unraveling when the world refuses to give her either. She's tragic one second, horrifying in the absolute next, and somehow still deeply human throughout all of it. And if we already haven't been given a tour de force in X and in Pearl, well, we get to that monologue. You know the one we're on about. For several uninterrupted minutes, Mia Goth holds the screen with almost no safety net. There's no cuts, there's no distractions, it's just pure emotional collapse, and to be honest with you, it's one of the best single monologue scenes in all of history. It is so well done. It's disturbing, she's vulnerable, it's heartbreaking, and it's impossible to look away. It's just that damn good. And then comes that final smile. Frozen, she looks pained, and she's completely unhinged. The facial expression that says more than pages of dialogue ever could, and we've just gone through a tour de force. It's the kind of fearless performance award shows claim to celebrate, yet somehow ignored her completely. I do believe 100% that years from now, people will still be talking about Pearl and about Mia Goth in that scene alone. Dwayne Jones, Night of the Living Dead. Now, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, it changed horror forever. It redefined zombies and inspired generations of filmmakers, and it also proved that independent horror could be powerful, but also terrifying. But out of all of this chaos and at the center of it was Ben, played to perfection by Dwayne Jones. Jones delivered a commanding, intelligent, and grounded performance in a film built on panic. While everyone around him is collapsing into fear, he becomes the voice of reason. He's determined, but he's exhausted, and he's trying to survive in a world that's already lost its mind. But what makes the performance so remarkable, though, is how real Jones makes Ben feel. There's no theatricality, there's no exaggeration. He plays Ben like a real man trapped in an impossible nightmare. Then we get the ending, which is cold, brutal, and haunting. It sucks, it really does. Jones's performance, though, carries even more weight when you consider that the time the film was released in 1968, seeing a black lead portrayed with strength, intelligence, and authority in a horror film was absolutely groundbreaking, and I tip my hat to George A. Romero for getting that done. But it's not just a great horror performance, it's a historically important one, and Dwayne Jones should have been nominated. Christian Bale, American Psycho. Yeah, we all knew that this was going to be in the list, folks, because, well, if you want a tour de force like we've been talking about with Mia Goth, with the way Anthony Hopkins portrays a man who is just like a shell of himself until you realize who he is, and Dwayne Jones playing an intelligent person, Christian Bale in Psycho, he literally just everything all into one. It's like he's put it into a massive pot and gone, this is it. And this could have gone horribly wrong. The character is ridiculous, he's terrifying, he's absolutely hilarious, and he's a huge narcissistic asshole, and he's completely detached from reality. One wrong move, and the entire film would have become a laughingstock. But before playing Bruce Wayne, Christian Bale somehow managed to play every side of Patrick Bateman perfectly. It's a razor-sharp satire performance that is wrapped inside a serial killer nightmare. He turns Bateman into a monster built from vanity, greed, and just soulless consumer culture. Every smile he makes, we know it is fake, but everyone around him is just like, oh, Patrick, yes, but we all know it's fake. Every conversation he has as well feels like a rehearsed in the mirror. Every outburst feels like a mask slipping for just 1 second. But then obviously you got the iconic moments. The business card scene, where, can we just talk about the business card scene? Who in their right mind thought that a scene where people are talking about business cards would become so iconic? Literally. You got the Huey Lewis monologue then as well, monologue. Then you got the dead-eyed morning routine where he's just looking in the mirror, does his crunches and everything else. And with this, Christian Bale, he just commits to the role. And that Patrick Bateman became one of the most unforgettable characters of the early 2000s. But what genius though about this performance is that Christian Bale makes you laugh, and then makes you uncomfortable for laughing with him. That takes control and precision. And above all, it's Oscar-level talent. Seeing how it would take a number of years before Christian Bale would actually win the Best Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in The Fighter, he should have been nominated for American Psycho. The guy is just, as I said, everyone we've talked about so far, Mia Goth, Dwayne Jones, and also Anthony Perkins, every single one of them rolled into one, and that is Patrick Bateman. Mia Farrow, Rosemary's Baby. Now, some performances don't scream, they whisper, and that can even be more terrifying. Mia Farrow in Rosemary's Baby gives one of the most emotionally devastating performances cinema has ever seen, not just horror. She takes Rosemary from a hopeful newlywed to an isolated victim, then to a woman who is trapped in a waking nightmare, and she does it with heartbreaking subtlety. You feel every ounce of confusion as she's going through, every single moment of paranoia, every desperate attempt to trust the people around her as her world slowly turns from a nice, beautiful future into something sinister that she could never imagine. And seeing everyone around her who is gaslighting her and just making her feel like, oh no, you're going a little bit crazy, we'll look after you, we'll protect the baby. It's just like, oh my god, And the thing is, Mia Farrow, she never overplays it. She doesn't need to. Her fear lives in her eyes, in her body language, in the way that she shrinks as everyone around her gains control. And by the final act, Rosemary isn't just scared, she's been psychologically dismantled. It's a performance built on vulnerability, realism, and emotional precision. And in a genre outside of horror, it would have been impossible for the Academy to ignore her and not offer her the Best Actress Oscar. But we know what the Oscars have been like in the last 98 years, where we've only seen a handful of people in horror actually win something. And sadly, the majority of the times, it's best sound, best effects, or best wardrobe and makeup. Obviously, we did have The Exorcist, where William Peter Blatty won. We also got Silence of the Lambs, which again, now remember, it took over, or just under 20 years from The Exorcist winning to the Silence of the Lambs winning. And then from there to now, for Sinners. It's absolutely insane. Horror has given us some of the boldest, most unforgettable performances ever put on screen. But because of the genre's long-standing stigma, many actors delivered award-worthy were just looked over without getting the recognition that they deserve. But thankfully, us, the audience, we all remember. So those are my picks for actors who should have been nominated for an Academy Award for a horror movie role. Who did I miss, guys? Let us know down below. Toni Collette in Hereditary, Lupita in Us, Jack Nicholson in The Shining. To be honest with you, I wouldn't really go for Jack Nicholson in The Shining because it was just too out there, and it was Jack Nicholson acting like Jack Nicholson, you know, that sort of thing. But let me know your picks in the comments, folks. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Sleep well.